Hi, welcome to another ProRevenge episode of StorytimeGuru. In this episode, we will read 3 of the best ProRevenge stories. Our first episode is titled, Always Stay Gracious, Best Revenge is Yo Paper. Our second episode is titled, I Was Fired and Made the Company Lose Over £100,000. Our third episode is titled, Try to Blackmail Me? I'll Ruin Your Life. Hope you like it. If you like my content, please support my channel by clicking like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell. Always Stay Gracious, Best Revenge is Yo Paper. Posted by Payne. Pal. Not a strict revenge story, but here goes. I grew up one of those crazy geektoids that always listened to NPR and watched C-SPAN. I was a hall monitor in elementary school and knew that I wanted to work in government somehow. After undergrad, I began interning at City Hall, the same city where I lived actually, and worked under one of the charter officers. We grew close and came from similar backgrounds. Turns out I had been in the same 5th grade class with one of her sons, and when she later called me to come work for her as a salaried employer, I was elated. As many Redditors can relate, I was always very sensitive to student debt. I managed to pay my way through undergrad and never wanted to go in the hole. As a massive debtor herself, she understood this and encouraged me to take advantage of the city's tuition assistance program. She was grooming me to follow in her footsteps and thought an advanced degree in that field of study would be a good idea. With the subsidy provided by the school, an otherwise out-of-reach master's program was affordable. Eager to perform, I worked very hard, undertaking huge projects and rebuilding neglected processes. Residents and other departments took notice, remarking about how well things were being run and executed. I was extremely loyal and had her back despite becoming aware of certain shortcomings. Fast forward to the end of my first semester. By then I had been there more than 2 years. I approached her with my grades and reimbursement form, and she stared blankly like I had spoken to her in a foreign language. What's this? I never authorized this? I thought it was a joke. But she repeated that she had no idea what I was talking about and how she didn't understand how I could undertake something like that without approaching her first. I was dumbfounded. She had signed off on everything and even congratulated me on matriculating into the program. There was money slated in the budget for education expenses. The period after this was a bad dream. Her attitude towards me changed. She became cold and curt and buried me with busy work. Periodically I'd ask her for a status on my inquiry, and at one point she shouted when I was in school I had to pay back loans and support my kids as a single mom. I was dismayed. I would never have signed up for this endeavor if I had to take out loans. I went to HR about my issue to seek relief, and the director said she would get back to me. I was at my desk one day when she told me that the city manager wanted to discuss my tuition issue and to head to her office. I went upstairs to see her, and instead I found a smug and triumphant Jill and the director of HR there. I was told my services were no longer needed. They gave me a form to sign and offered me less than a third of what the tuition was, under the condition that I could not seek further relief nor discuss what had transpired. I refused to sign, and they tried to muscle me into it, saying it wasn't binding. So now, on top of being stuck with a $50,000 of the bill, now I don't even have a job to pay it back. Sorry for the long setup. Here comes the good part. I went to the EEOC and explained what happened and found a sympathetic audience. Though I lived in a right-to-work state, he helped me to file a complaint against the city citing gender discrimination. Before everyone gets mad at me, the legal strategy here was to get them to arbitration in the hopes they would pay to make it go away. Jill assumed I'd fade quietly into the night, but was dragged down to the federal building at a table with an arbitration officer, and I got to return her smug, duplicitous face. I wasn't awarded any money, but it was satisfying seeing her squirm and getting to air out all her dirty laundry, as she had cited clerical errors as reason for termination. Since being fired, I found a very lucrative career in the IT world, paid off my loans within 2 years, and now earn far more money than I ever did in government. More than her even. Jill was fired. Publicly. Since she was a charter officer, and I got to watch it unfold on the internet. She was a victim of a personal beef with one of her bosses, elected official, who listed something trivial as ground for her termination. So while it's not technically my revenge, I was avenged. Getting to view karma at work is a beauty. Thanks for reading, guys. Best reply by Demonicus 999. Makes you wonder what was going through her mind, having you take such a big step that could financially cripple you for years. For what exactly? Would be very malicious to set you up to fail with that much debt in play. I was fired and made the company lose over £100,000. Posted by Hoovlin. So I used to work at a family-run builders merchants and was a trade sales advisor. I was fired for bringing up health and safety concerns in an email sent to a manager and for the fact I was apparently unhappy in my role. I did nothing wrong but they still sacked me. Now when I worked there I had clients that I had built good relationships with and even become friends with some of them. They would get me beers and whiskey at Christmas or have BBQs and so on outside of work. Anyway, back to the revenge. I was fired, which in my opinion was unfair, and it was during this COVID-19 pandemic. I had worked the entire way through it until I was fired, so I wanted revenge. I contacted multiple clients/friends and most of them say okay, we won't use that company if they treat the staff the way they did to me. One client easily spends over £100,000 a year easily in the top 3 customers they had. He used them because I would get him the best prices, etc. As soon as I'm fired I call him and let him know what happened. And he straight away promises not to use them again. So big middle finger to the owners of that S. I hope you learn to treat your employees better or go under. Slight update, just reading comments. I did contact ACK as they are investigating. Health and safety executives did visit and told them to put a few things right but nothing else. I did have video and photo evidence of one accident actually happening and many other issues. I don't have a copy of the email but ACAs can find it on their internal mail system as it never truly disappears. Also, any clients I contacted were friends. I didn't contact a huge list of clients, just a handful, letting them know I no longer worked for the company. They asked why I got fired and I gave them an honest answer. I did not ask them to stop using them, as at the end of the day if they offer the best prices they would still use them, but that's not the case. Best reply by Fluffy. 50. Please tell me you have buddies at your old job to be able to give us an update when the time is right. Hoolven. This happened about 4 months ago, but yeah, I still have mates that work there. They still say it's terrible there, and they still treat staff badly. I also know that the £100,000 client still doesn't use them. He's a good mate of mine now, and he did offer me a job, but since leaving I've moved abroad and started a new career. Try to blackmail me? I'll ruin your life. Posted by Puzzleheaded Dirt 78. Throwaway, because this could be a real problem for me career-wise if the phone sex company I work for found out. Also obligatory, I'm on mobile. Apology for formatting. This happened a few years ago. I was maybe 26 at the time. I am a trans man, but present feminine and work as a professional dominatrix as a woman. I do a lot of work through a popular phone sex website. I had a client contact me on there and get my Skype ID. Sometimes clients want a cam chat there. It's not technically allowed by the site toes, but they turn a blind eye because $, and he messaged me to negotiate a session. He complained about my rates, demanded I do stuff I'm not comfortable with. I don't get fully nude on cam calls. I don't talk about having clients touch me sexually. I don't do sessions as a sub, and eventually threatened me with bad reviews, and to report me to the site, and said I didn't want to show him my junk because I was a very nasty word for a trans woman. Ironic, I know. He called me every name in the book and I blocked him and thought nothing of it. I'd been with that site 5 years and made them hundreds of thousands over the course of them, so I wasn't worried. However, a little later he pops up again with a new account and screen name a few days later, threatening violence and accusing me of stealing from him. I screen cap this and send it to the site. They say there's nothing they can do about him creating multiple accounts but ban them as they occur. I block him again and think maybe he'll give up. Nope. A few days later there's a new account that talks in the same tone, demands the same SHT, etc. So this time, with all the usernames he's used, I take to Google, and what do I find? But other PSOs who dealt with him complaining about him. I message some of them about what's happening, and one gets back to me super fast. She says he's been harassing her for years, telling her he hoped she'd have a miscarriage when she was pregnant, threatening her BF. At this point I'm furious, not only on my behalf but on behalf of everyone else he's pulled this SHT with. She'd tried to go to the cops, no help there, of course, but this idiot had given her a ton of personal info, from his full name, to his address. I am a pretty good internet detective thanks to my line of work, so I start Googling and putting together info. I find everything, and I mean everything, from his mom's name, the date of his dad's death, to his girlfriend's name, to the shitty band he played in high school, where he works, and who his landlord is. I call everyone politely informing them of what this little SHT is up to, his mom, his GF, his everybody. I call his GF at work just to make sure she gets it. He contacts me on Kik, demanding a response, and threatening to sue me for harassment. I laugh my ass off and explain how that doesn't work and that if he contacts me again I'll sue him for harassment and show him the statutes on it where we live. You have to tell the person to stop contacting you before it can be harassment. I told him multiple times to stop bothering me, but he'd only ever demanded that I do talk to him. After that I did stop contacting him, but I gave all the info I dug up to the other PSOs to do with as they liked. Last I checked he was living with his brother in a truly shitty looking apartment and tweeting about how no one will hire him because people are mean, and about how much he hates women. Edit to clarify, before this he seemed to have a pretty nice life, pretty girlfriend working in real estate, a job in tech and was renting a pretty nice / big house in a nice town. I googled him just now and there are multiple places where if you Google his name it shows you just what kind of person he is. Edit 2, oh my goodness, thank you for the awards. Best reply by random1221. Dang, you destroyed him, he sounded so miserable, WTF, and wow, you made 100,000 as a PSO, WTF, I need to look into that now that I'm unemployed. If you like my content, please support my channel by clicking like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell.